Once again, welcome to my YouTube channel, Professor LPT. Today with a new topic, processing of hide and skin in continuation to the previous lecture. In that lecture, I have discussed about the handling and preservation of hide and skin. Today, I am going to discuss about processing of hide and skin as a basic part for the undergraduate students. Of course, it will be useful for postgraduate students of LPT and Leather Technology. And in one more lecture, I will discuss little bit more in depth with more chemical aspects on the same topic for leather processing. So in this topic, we will discuss about processing of hide and skin. That is, it starts with the preserved hide or dried hide, and it will be discussed in three parts. Firstly, the pre-tanning operation, then actual tanning operation, and then the post-tanning operation, which includes finishing of leather and little bit about the use of leather and properties of leather. So this lecture is about processing of hide and skin into leather. Before we go for it, let us understand some basic structure of hide or skin or the histology of it. It has got three layers. The first is the epidermis, which has a outer pigmented surface and tubular invaginations for hair follicles. So from epidermis, there is inside the follicles from which the hairs grow or even wool grows. The second layer is the corium or dermis. So that is the actual structure of skin, which has elastin, reticulin and collagenous fibers. The inner portion of corium is interwoven with bundles of collagen. So collagen is the major structure in the corium, and this is the part which makes up the leather. So actual collagen in the hide and skin is actually converted to leather in the processing. And the third inner layer is the subcutis, which is a loose membrane network and contains fatty deposits. So often we say subcutaneous fat. So this is for basic understanding, because in different part of this lecture we have the connection to this structure of the skin. Here is the very basic and preliminary understanding about the processing of hide into leather. So earlier I have discussed about preservation of hide and skin, so either by salting or drying. Now it reaches to the tannery, where this hide undergoes different steps like re-wetting or soaking. So the dried hide will be soaked for a long time to get back its normal flexibility and moisture content and to remove all the dirts and salts, etc. Then in the next step, dehairing, that is done by liming. So lime is used to remove the hairs. And next is defleshing, that is, along with the hide or skin, lot of muscle will be there which should be removed. And then pre-tanning, so that includes the neutralization of the lime and also about preparing it for actual tanning like pickling, etc. And then the actual tanning, so that is the process where a specific irreversible changes happen in the skin structure, that is in the collagen. So originally in old days it used to be done with the tannin coming from the plants. That's why the process is called tanning. After this tanning, it is dried and then it undergoes several stages of finishing, and then that is also called as post-tanning operations, and then finally there is grading and packaging. So this is the brief outline about the processing of hide into leather. Here once again we will understand the steps of leather processing, particularly the chemical tanning. So as I have said earlier, in the left side flow chart we can see it starts with the raw hide or the preserved hide, which may be dried, so it undergoes soaking, then liming and unhairing or dehairing, then fleshing to remove the flesh or muscles. Then first liming was already done during unhairing, so it has to be removed by deliming. Then baiting, where some enzymes are used for improving the flexibility and removing the unwanted proteins. Then pickling, that is to reduce the pH, which is important for chrome tanning or chemical tanning or synthetic tanning, whereas that is not much important for vegetable tanning. In the right side we can see there is pre-tanning operation, that is soaking, fleshing, unhairing, baiting and pickling. Then there is actual tanning where we have the real tanning operation, that is some chemicals are used or chromic sulfate is used. And after that there is sorting, splitting and saving, and then there is further finishing like neutralization, re-tanning, dyeing, fat lacquering, setting and drying. These things are to improve the quality of leather and to impart special qualities. And then there is final finishing, that is conditioning, stacking, buffing, trimming and finishing. So these steps briefly we will discuss throughout this lecture. As I have mentioned, there is three-phase operations in the hide processing or leather processing. First is pre-tanning operations, then actual tanning operations, and then post-tanning operations including finishing of leather. So now let us discuss about the pre-tanning operations. In this, already I have mentioned in the previous lecture, there is a practice of storage or preservation where the hides are either preserved by curing, that is dry curing or dry salt curing, or wet curing or wet salt curing, and to a great extent it is done by drying. So after salting, sometime it is further dried, so the hide will be very hard. So particularly in case of dry preservation, the soaking is most important step. Even if it is wet salted, in that case also it has to be washed and all the salt should be removed, so soaking is important. But if it is dry salted, then it needs a lot of time to get back the normal flexibility of the hide or skin. So it takes 36 to 48 hours for dry hides to reabsorb water. And then final wash is done with fresh water to remove the dirt and soil. So soaking is very important to get back the normal texture of the skin. The next step in pre-tanning operation is fleshing, that is removing fats and flesh is a major step in producing quality hide. So as I said, below the skin there will be a lot of subcutaneous fat and also some flesh or muscles, so that should be removed. The next is trimming. This is done to remove part of hide that have no value as leather and to get a uniform shape. The part trimmed are ears, snouts, lips, scrotal sacs, udders and head of the tail. So these portions are very uneven and that will not be much useful as leather. So all these portions are removed and an even shape is obtained. So this is done by trimming. The next step is sorting, that is separation according to sex, weight, brandings and defects. So this is to separate similar and uniform skins or hides. So male hide separate, female hide separate, or as per the large one or the small one or defective one, all these are separated by sorting. I have mentioned about the fleshing. This is done by manual techniques or by some machines. So here we can see a figure wherein the special type of knife with serration is available, which is kept on wooden logs and all the unwanted flesh is removed, and this is a manual technique for removing the flesh. Here we can see the fleshing machines. So here the skin is placed between two rollers and through which it is pulled out and all the unwanted part of muscles will be removed by the serrated blades in the rollers. We can see the another modern equipment for fleshing in the right side. Now the next step is liming. This is a very important step mainly for removing the hair and also for desirable changes into the hide for actual tanning. So the hides are soaked in saturated lime solution at a high pH, that is around 12.6, and for 8 to 12 days. The process is carried out in pits, pedal or drum. So in a large modern factory, drums are used for all the different steps for soaking, for washing, and every step it will be kept rotating slowly, and when it is done it will be drained out, and again the new water or new chemical or new semi solution will be used as per the steps. So here the objective of liming is mainly for removal of hair, removal of interfibrillary proteins. So between collagen fibers there will be different kind of other proteins which are not suitable to make leather, that should be removed. Removal of keratin protein. There will be other keratinous protein which should be removed. Then collagen swelling due to alkaline pH. So here we induce the swelling of collagen, and because of the high pH it happens. And finally collagen fiber bundle splitting. So there are a lot of collagen fiber bundle which should be splitted so that the dyeing agent can go inside and make the proper reaction for making the leather. So the next step is dehairing, which is done after the liming, and as I said, for normal it takes 8 to 12 hours, 12 days for actual liming operation and removing the hair. But if we want to make it more fast, that is to reduce the liming period, we are for making the dehairing faster, sometimes sodium sulfide is added along with the lime. So this is used along with the saturated lime solution, and after that the hairs are removed. They loosen the hair follicle and open up the collagen fiber structure. So liming or using this chemical like sodium sulfide, they loosen the hair follicle and makes it easy to remove the hair. However, use of enzymes results in a cleaner grain surface and improved softness. So there are better advantage by using these chemicals which helps it better cleaning and better surface and softness. There is a consciousness about the hair saving. So this is more eco-friendly than hair burning. So all this hair need not be burnt. It is achieved by saving the hair from the liming float by filtering it out. So this is related to pollution, because in tannery it gets a lot of pollution by using different chemicals, etc. So we should be concerned about it. Now the next step is de-liming, that is to remove the lime. As you know, lime is used in a huge quantity for removing the hair in the previous step. So removal of alkali from the pelt, that is the unhaired skin. Once the hairs are removed, that is called pelt, and it is also to reduce the swelling of the fibers. So in earlier stage we have seen the swelling of collagen fibers which should be reduced. That happened due to the alkali. So this is a drum, pedal or peat based using weak acids. So sometime we can also use other compounds like different kind of salts of ammonia. So here the free alkali is removed by water wash, that is part of the alkali remains as free, whereas part of the alkali will be bound with the collagen fiber. So that bound alkali is removed by using weak acids or ammonium sulfate. So in this process we can reduce the pH also. The pH which was up to 12 or 13, that will come down to 8 or 8.4. So these are the purpose of de-liming. Now the next step is baiting. So baiting is a process of enzymatic treatment for making the pelt more soft and pliable. So this is done in order to make the leather pliable. Here pancreatic enzymes, sometimes the pancreatic crude extracts are introduced to the skin to remove degraded proteins, fats, pigments, etc. and softening of the pelt. So other than collagenous protein, there will be other proteins which may be degraded, or some keratin, as I said, pigments and fats. All these things should be removed. So when we use pancreatic enzyme or pancreatic extract, it will have major is pancreatic enzymes, that is proteolytic, and also some lipolytic enzymes. Even sometimes some other substance also will be removed because of this enzyme. So during baiting, collagen is loosened and other unwanted proteins are removed. So this makes the collagen set more fit for actual tanning reaction and converting to leather. It makes the grain surface of the pelt clean, smooth and fine. So baiting with enzymes cannot be substituted with chemicals. So this is possible only by using enzymes. So nowadays there are better pure synthetic enzymes are available. Otherwise crude pancreatic extracts are used for this purpose. The next step is pickling. So pickling meaning is actually to add acid and bring the pH to acidic side. So as you have seen previously, so far it is in alkaline side. From 12 to 13 it has been brought to 7.5 to 8.5. So baited pelts are still in alkaline condition. So hence pickling is necessary to bring down the pH to 2 to 3.5. So particularly for chrome tanning or chemical tanning, this acidic pH is very important for accepting. So the collagen will be acidic and ready to accept the chrome tanning agents. The pickle liquor contains common salt, sulfuric acid and water. Here the salt concentration should not be more than 7 to 9%. Common salt is sometimes partly replaced by buffer salts like sodium or calcium formate. So this is the previous ready stage for actual chrome tanning or chemical tanning, pickling. So we have discussed about the pre-tanning operation. Now it is about the tanning operation, that is the actual tanning. So tanning is the process of converting skins and hides of animals to produce leather. In this process, collagen fibers of the skin is irreversibly converted into weather resistant, stable and non-putrescible leather. So this is such a process where there is a irreversible chemical reaction with the collagen and there is a strong bond formation, and after this irreversible conversion it develops strong properties and gives it a special quality, and then we call it leather. Leather has properties like dimensional stability, abrasion resistance, chemical resistance, heat resistance, the ability to flex and the ability to withstand repeated cycles of wetting and drying. So we will see actual tanning process next. It is done by 2A, by vegetable tanning and chemical tanning. In the top picture we can see that is the tanning extracts from plants are used, whereas in the bottom we can see the modern process of tanning which is done in the drum by using chemicals like chromic sulfate. Now we will understand about the actual tanning which is done by 2 ways. One is vegetable tanning, another is chemical tanning. In vegetable tanning, the plant extract is prepared which contains tannin. So from the old days, this tannin is used from the plants and converted the hides and skin into leather. That's why this process is called tanning. So tannin is actually tannic acid. Sometimes it is called polyhydroxygallol. It is a water-soluble complex organic compound and it is the active tanning agent. Tannin is capable of combining with collagen protein to convert it into a non-putrefactive leather. So this tannin from the plants makes innumerable bonds with the collagen protein and then it gets converted to a special quality that is called leather. Tannins are obtained from barks, wood, fruits, leaves, roots and pods from different plants like eucalyptus, myrobalan, babul, avram, chestnut, oak. So different parts of the plants are rich in tannin which is extracted and then that extract is used for tanning. So the delimed pelts are dipped into the tanning solution in ascending order. So the pelt is kept first at a lower solution of the tannin, that then it is at a higher concentration and then it is at a further higher concentration. So this process takes long time. In the vegetable tanning, to make this reaction happen, it takes long time in a ascending order at different concentration, and that could be 2 to 3 weeks. And finally, when the reaction is over, this produces the leather, but this kind of leather will be very harsh and tough. Now we will discuss about the chemical tanning or chrome tanning. Here sodium bichromate is reacted with sulfuric acid in presence of reducing sugar to produce chromic sulfate, which is also called as chrome ion. So this chrome ion plays the important role for actual tanning. So collagen cross linkage is formed between chrome ions and carboxyl groups of the proteins. As I said earlier, the pH to be adjusted to 2.8 to 3.5 by adding acid, that is in the pickling, that is the preparation for chrome tanning, which increases the affinity of collagen for the chrome. So due to this very low pH, the proteins in collagen will have more exposure of the carboxylic groups, and those carboxylic group with chrome ion forms the cross bridge, and that is in numerous number, and then this hide get converted to leather. So in this case, tanning requires 4 to 6 hours only. That is very fast, whereas in case of vegetable tanning it may take 2 or 3 weeks. And here the tanning solution, that is the chrome solution, should be around 1.5 to 3% concentration. Chrome tanning process is usually considered to be complete when a piece of tanned leather does not shrink in boiling water for 3 to 5 minutes. So if we keep a piece after this process over the boiling water, it will not shrink. That means the tanning is perfect. Now we will discuss about the post-tanning operation. So we have seen the tanning process, but it is not really complete as leather. It needs some more stages to make it proper leather, and finally it needs some finishing stages, and which are also called as leather finishing. So first is ringing or setting. This is removal of excess moisture and to smoothen the grain and remove wrinkles by passing through two large rollers. So there are some rollers through which it will be passed, and it will remove some of the wrinkles and some of the moisture. The next step is splitting and shaving. So actual hide which is converted to leather will have different thickness at different part. So it has to be uniform. So to adjust the leather thickness and desired for its ultimate use, so the splitting sometime is done, and that is the thick portions are removed, and there is sometime also called as shaving. Then there is an operation called re-tanning, that is one more tanning. So sometime it is done by using combined tanning agent like vegetable extracts and syntans or synthetic tanning agents. So these syntans are chemicals generally produced by condensing aromatic sulfonic acids or phenols with formaldehyde. It can also be acrylic resin type. Syntans are used to produce softer and white shades on the blue-green chrome tanned leather. So retanning is done again in the rotary drums by adjusting the pH as per requirement, and it takes 1 to 2 hours. Here we can see the splitting equipments, that is to reduce the thickness or to make the uniform thickness in the leather. In the right side we can see that handheld fleshing machine which can reduce the thickness, whereas in the left side we can see the splitting machine which can reduce the thickness and make it uniform. Now the next step is dyeing, that is to impart the color, to produce desired color. So here different kind of dyes are used, like acid dyes which penetrate readily with bright colors. There is aniline dyes which combine with the skin fibers. Basic dyes gives brilliant shades. Then direct dyes gives good surface dyeing and deep shades. And there are metallized dye which gives subdued colors. The next is the fat liquoring. It is done to adjust the firmness or softness of leather or by lubricating the fibers. So it gives the special softness of the leather. It increases the tensile strength of the leather. The basic ingredients are vegetable oil or fish oil or mineral or animal oil or sometimes glycerin. So there is a special terminology called samoing. So to produce very soft and pliable leather, fish oil is impregnated at this stage. So sometime what we have, the gloves and all hand gloves which will be very soft and pliable, for which this fish oil is impregnated, and it is called samoing. The fat liquoring requires about 1 hour at high temperature in the rotating drum. Then the next step is setting out. This is again to remove some moisture which we have seen in the earlier stage. This is to smoothen and stretch the leather and to compress and squeeze out the excess moisture and grease. So during this dyeing and liquoring stage, it may pick up more moisture. So that moisture again we have to remove, or excess grease we have to remove by this process. The next step is drying. This is again to remove all but equilibrium moisture. It is done by hanging or toggling or pasting or vacuum drying can be used for this drying. After drying, moisture content in the skin should not exceed 10 to 12%. So that is the ideal requirement for good leather. Then next step is conditioning or wetting back. So it involves introduction of controlled amount of moisture. So in the previous stage during drying, the drying may be more. So then to bring it in a perfect level, a very specific manner, the moisture is introduced that is by wetting back or conditioning. The next step is stacking, that is keeping the hides one over the other and putting some pressure. So this stacking makes the leather soft and pliable. The next step is buffing. It involves smoothing the grain surface by light mechanical sanding to improve the appearance of the leather and to diminish any blemishes present. So in this process, it is like a special kind of sanding mechanism in which the rough surface, particularly the hair side, will be smoothened and it gives a very nice appearance. Now the next step is finishing, which is often called as leather finishing. It is the application of film forming materials that provide abrasion and stain resistance, enhance the color and make leather easy to care. So it is a protective layer. This is done by applying a very thin layer forming proteins, either albumin or sometime by using the casein from milk or albumin from the animal origin. So this is a very important step for finishing of the leather. The next is drying. That is again a common practice is to use a long tunnel which may be heated with steam like heated air or infrared units. So this is the final stage where once again either drying is done to remove the extra water or sometime if required extra moisture is added. Then platinizing. So it smoothens the grain surface or produces a varied grain texture. So this is generally a strong heavy glass plates are used for further smoothening of the grain surface and to produce different kind of grain texture. Then the next is the grading. This is the final stage when the tanned leather is ready. So it has to be classified or graded. So it determines the quality of finished leather. So leather is graded for temper, uniformity of thickness, color and defects. Even there are some more many steps, sometime like embossing. So these are all after the leather, like we can particularly emboss some emblem or some name or some other structure. So that is as per requirement is to be done. So here we will have a comparison of vegetable tanned leather and chrome tanned leather. So in vegetable tanned leather, it is more environment friendly, requires more time and skill. It's a long process. It's a unique type of leather which will be very hard and tough, but it will not have much flexibility. It develops a patina over time and long lasting. Because it is very tough, it is long lasting, it improves with use. Even more and more use, it becomes more long lasting and it has a natural look. Whereas in case of chrome tanning or chemical tanning, there is a added disadvantage that it produces a lot of chemical waste and cause a threat to the environment or pollution. But the advantage is it can be produced in large scale and very cheap. It is a very quick process and it is commonly practiced in modern industrial era due to the advancement of technology and science. It has a more smooth and flexible texture. So for making the leather garments, this chrome tan leather only is suitable. And only thing, it wears badly or breaks easily. So the shelf life or the lasting will be less. Whereas in case of vegetable tanning, it is so hard and long lasting. So it is used for all kind of rough uses like soles of shoe or belt or upholstery or saddles, etc. Whereas the chrome tan leathers are used for sophisticated purpose like jackets or garments, etc. or gloves, etc. Here we can see good number of finished leather with different colors. So there are different color is produced by using different kind of dye, and these leathers are used for different purpose. If it is a chrome tan, very soft, it can be used for making garments or jackets, and the small portions can be used for making bags or hand gloves, etc. So we have discussed about the processing of hide and skin to leather at 3 different phases, that is pre-tanning, tanning and post-tanning, and we have seen the finished leather. Now briefly about the physical properties of leather. Firstly, the tensile strength. So it has a very high strength, one of the strongest flexible sheet with 2000 to 4000 psi, that is the force required to tear. Then the tear strength, it is having a very high, and because the fibers are randomly oriented, no fixed path for tearing, so it has a very strong tearing strength. In case of pig skin, little bit it is weak, that's why it is not much commonly used for making the leather. Then the elongation, that is about the stretchability. So it has a stretchability of 15.73% depending on tanning and fat liquoring. That is, what kind of tanning is done and what kind of fat liquoring is done, that decides about the stretchability. It has excellent flexibility. So the leather is highly flexible at wide temperature and moisture range and suitable for use in adverse environment. Then puncture resistance. So we cannot easily puncture it. It provides added safety and long wearing. And it can absorb and transmit moisture. So whenever there is a moist condition, it will absorb and later it will transmit automatically. Ability to breathe. So in cool in hot weather and insulate in cold weather and windproof. It is suitable as garments and shoes. So leather has the breathing property. So in case of cold climate, it prevents the cold to come inside and give us the comfort and preserving the heat. Whereas in case of hot climate, the heat inside can be removed towards outside the body and it helps in protecting the body temperature. Molding ability. So it retains desirable properties even after being deformed into new shapes. So if we deform it, crumble it, even after some time it will come back to normal condition, which is ideal for shoe making. Then heat resistance. So the leather has got very high heat resistance. It is not affected up to a certain temperature, maybe up to 50-60 degrees Celsius. It will not be affected. So that is a special quality. So this is briefly about the properties of leather. So here we can see the most commonly used leather products, that is the hand gloves, belt that is mostly prepared from the vegetable tanned leather, different kind of belts. Then we can see the purse. Here again we can use the vegetable tan, but preferably nowadays people want that softness, so it is prepared from chrome tan leather. And we can see the shoe where we need a very tough leather, so sometime it is prepared from vegetable tan, of course also from chrome tan. So here again we can see some more leather products. In the right side, jacket, which needs a soft and pliability, so that is produced by chemical tanning or chrome tanning. Whereas we can see the leather bags or purse or other things which are mostly prepared from the vegetable tanned leather. So this kind of bags has long life, very strong and very high strength and durability. So now we are at the end of today's lecture. So this is the steps where we have started with. We have discussed in this lecture about the structure of skin and different steps of making leather from hide. So there is pre-tanning stage operations, then tanning operations and post-tanning operations. In the pre-tanning operations, the hide is made ready for actual tanning through different steps, and most important is soaking and then liming, dehairing and baiting and pickling. And then the actual tanning, it is vegetable tanning and chemical tanning. In vegetable tanning, the tannin is extracted from plants, and this tannin makes bonds with the protein in collagen and permanently convert the collagen and makes a very special quality on properties, that is the leather. Whereas in chemical tanning, the chromic sulfate is produced and that produces the chrome ion, and this chrome ion makes the bond with the exposed carboxylic groups in the proteins in collagen. So here the acidic pH is used for exposing the carboxylic groups and it makes the bond. Then there are many steps for finishing. So there are different stages of adjusting the moisture, then coloring or dyeing, and then many times drying is done, setting, and then splitting and embossing, buffing, like that. So there is a leather finishing stage. So thank you for listening. I will make one more lecture which will be more details about the chemical aspect for the postgraduate students. Thank you.